Hello, welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Let's Be Cops. I want it that way, 'cause I want it that way. How about let's not be cops? Now I know I'm a big old stick in the mud who wouldn't understand a good time if it hit me over the head. I'm no fun. But I had a lot of problems with this film. So let's go ahead and get the few things that I thought the film did well out of the way first, shall we? The biggest and best thing this film has going for it is our two lead characters played by Jake Johnson and Damon Wayans Jr. Not only did they play their individual characters very well and make them believable as actual people, their chemistry is really strong. I think that the chemistry between them is what saves the film to be at least tolerable. We believe that these two were actual lifelong friends, they're roommates, and they're getting into all of these shenanigans together, and we're happy just to be around them and get this chance to kind of hang out with them and become friends with them. And this film would have really faltered with, I think, any other actors because their chemistry was just so strong. The acting in the movie was well done. I think everybody held their own, pulled their weight. Some of them a little too over the top, but for the most part in general, everybody did pretty well. So going along with the acting is the actual actors and the fact that we had a diverse cast. Overall, I think it was very nice to not just see a bunch of white people running around in this cop movie. No offense to white viewers. Love you, but it was nice to see a little bit of racial diversity up there. We had an interracial buddy cop team, we had an interracial couple in here, and never was attention drawn to the fact that either of those were interracial. And the fact that our characters just were. Their race was just part of who they were. And that's such a great advancement that we're starting to see develop in Hollywood. Even in a film such as this, a comedy like this, they don't fall back on the race card time and time again to get laughs or to be so self-aware. It just is. These people live in their universe. I will say, females do not count into this positive part of my review. We'll get to their depiction in the negatives a little bit later. And finally, I need to start this one off with a full disclaimer. Let's Be Cops is not a movie I typically find funny, but I chuckled at the very least, or laughed, throughout most of the film. I was never bored, so I will say that, never bored. And everybody else in the theater was loving it. People were crippled over in laughter. I thought we were going to have to call the ambulance because somebody's side busted out. I mean, it was crazy. People were dying in the theater I went to and seemed to love it. So when we were leaving, I seemed to be the only one left out. What did I miss here? But everybody else seemed to really like it, so take the rest of this review as you may, up to your interpretation. Because now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this review and discuss the many problems I had with Let's Be Cops. Most all of the problems I had with this film can center around one common theme. It was simply irresponsible. These two characters get cop costumes that admittedly looked realistic, at least to me. I guess I'm not a aficionado in what police officer uniforms actually look like, but they did look realistic. They bought a police officer car off of eBay, got a radio and stuck it in that car, and pretended to be legitimate cops on the street. So no, this isn't just for a costume party and they don't do it just, one night to try to pick people up. No. They actually are responding to calls. They're trying to be police officers on the street. They're ordering people around to see what they can get away with just because they look like cops. That is crazy to me to put into a film. One, it's insulting to the actual police officers in our world risking their lives on the streets right now. These two schmoes are running around and doing a pretty good job in this movie universe of solving crimes and responding to these calls and doing all these things
What? It's basically a slap in the face saying, cops, anybody could do your job. Please. Anybody who has the ingenuity to pretend to be a cop could actually go out there and keep our streets safe. We don't need the academy or your schooling. No, we don't need all that training mess that you actually went through. And it starts to rectify that at the very end, and it tries to sprinkle in a little bit of, oh, you need to go to school, but I don't think it's heavy enough. If you're going to give this message, pay respect to the actual police officers. Talk about the training. Don't just say you can learn how to be a cop from YouTube. Two, as I said, they are running around and just pushing their authority. They're saying, what can we get people to do? Just ridiculous things. Most of them are small, I will admit that. But for me, it hits really close to home. Here in Colorado, where I live, we have had a lot of cases recently of police brutality and police officers abusing their power. So this is something that is actual, real life. So you're giving people the idea to dress up and have an excuse to replicate that behavior and abuse their power or see what they can do. It insinuates taking advantage of women or going into women's houses at one point because you're a police officer, and manipulating women is a theme throughout the whole movie. It's a terrible, terrible message and a terrible idea to give people, to say, hey, go look for a cop thing and you can get people to do whatever you want because you have authority over them. What I wish they would have done was been a smart comedy, turned this into a satire of how blindly we as Americans just follow authority. That would have been fun. Or even brought attention to police brutality in this film. So if they had injected some responsibility and intelligent humor in here, I would have loved this film. So if it had just done that, but it doesn't. It has no agenda. It just wants to be a stupid comedy. It gives people a terrible idea that they could replicate. And in today's world, what's stopping someone from actually doing that? And that's a terrifying prospect in my mind. And what the worst part about it all is that when it's all said and done, in the end, there are no consequences. Again, they hint at the fact that impersonating a police officer, could result in jail time or could result in fines, and lying to women could lead them to maybe break up with you, or could lead them to think you're a douchebag, or blah, 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 blah. But really, they do some crazy, crazy things in this film. And there are no repercussions throughout any of the film for the actions they take. So again, they do crazy stuff as cops. What people would allow this? What people would see a police officer doing some of the stuff that they do in this film and not report it, not call the police and say, hey, let me see your badge number. I'm going to report you. Yeah, I know that's scary to do to cops, but guess what? Again, it could have been an intelligent story if you had played on how scared we are to do that to cops. But who wouldn't report these to cops that they saw? I wouldn't want people who behaved like this running my streets as police officers. So what gives? And overall, the ending of the movie just frustrated me so badly. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but again, it is very formulaic. You know how it's going to go. It's paint by the numbers. And in the end, people learn baby messages amongst this huge message that needs to be learned and doesn't. And to top it off, there are no strong women in this movie. They're made to look out like stupid women who just kind of let uniforms woo them over and over and over again. That's the role of women in this movie. To be girlfriends, to be slutty women who just throw themselves at cops and police officers, and that's it. So if you're looking for any type of strong female characters or good characterization of women in general, not here. Don't look in Let's Be Cops. So in the end, this film just promotes nothing but terrible, terrible things. Just being an idiot douchebag who gets to do whatever they want and not see consequences for any of your terrible, terrible actions, both by law and in your personal life. And that is why I simply cannot recommend Let's Be Cops. Especially if you have kids, do not let them watch this movie. It's terrible messages ingrained into their head throughout the whole entire thing. And I think kids are impressionable, to think this kind of behavior is cool, to think, oh, I laughed, I thought that movie was so awesome, let me go replicate it. And I don't want kids to even get that impression. If you're an adult, I still think that it promotes terrible messages and a terrible way of behaving. And if you're a woman, it really shows you in a terrible light. So, overall, I can't recommend this movie. I think many of you will find it funny, and like I said, most of the people I went with did find it funny, or most of the people in that theater were cracking up the whole time. So, again, take my review for what it is. I didn't enjoy the film, and I just think it is completely and totally irresponsible. Sorry. So, that is my review of Let's Be Cops. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't be afraid to subscribe down below and to check out my other videos on my channel. I love you all so much for your support. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.